Hello, true crime fanatics. Welcome to another episode of my true crime, and thank you so much for joining me. Today I want to pay homage to Becky Watts. I remember this case vaguely growing up. It's very tragic. This is Becky. It's very tragic, and you can see the reactions, and I watch these back when I add them onto my videos, and Skylar niece and Brittany, they get me very emotional. She's so young and vulnerable, and she should have been safe at home with her family. It's just tragic, absolutely tragic, and I can't imagine what her family are going through. So this is named after Becky Watts, and yeah, I shall let you get to the episode because I don't like to spoil what's coming up as you listen, but yeah, my heart goes out to Becky Watts and her family, and I shall see you in another episode very soon. Please remember to hit that subscribe button and leave your comments down below as to each episode, because I love interacting with you guys, and as always, it's true crime. Thank you so much for joining me and keeping me company, and stay safe out there. Bye. Rebecca Marie Watts was born on the 3rd of June in 1988. She was known as Becky, but Becky was last seen at home in St George in Bristol on the morning of the 19th of February 2015 by her stepmother, Angie, a multiple sclerosis sufferer who left the house at around 11:15 a.m. for a hospital appointment. Becky was reported missing at around 4 p.m. the following day. Investigators found that her phone, laptop and tablet computer were missing from the house, but she had not taken any money or spare clothes with her and did not tell anyone that she was going away. On the 22nd of February, Avon and Somerset police made their first appeal for information about her disappearance. And the following day, her father and grandmother appeared at a press conference appealing for her return. An online campaign using the hashtag #FindBecky was launched on social media, reaching more than 2 million people worldwide. Police searches focused on a number of properties in Barton Hill, Southmead, St George's Park and Troopers Hill Nature Reserve. In addition, searches were made in nearby open spaces and park areas, as well as house-to-house inquiries. Searches were also organised by public volunteers in areas including in Wharf Road, in Fish Ponds, Trim Valley and Badocks Wood. Police made a public appeal for information regarding the movements of a black Vauxhall Zafira between 19th and 23rd of February. Initial inquiries focused on the belief that Becky had disappeared after leaving the family home, based on statements given by her stepbrother Nathan Matthews and his girlfriend Shauna, who were at the house at the same time. They said that they had not seen Becky, but, quote, heard the door slam and assumed she had left. On the 28th of February, Nathan and Shauna were arrested in connection with Becky's disappearance. On the 2nd of March, they were rearrested on suspicion of murder. The following day, Becky's dismembered body was found at a property in Barton Court, Barton Hill. On the 4th of March, Nathan was charged with murder. On the 6th of March, 4 other people who had been arrested were charged with assisting an offender, having been accused of helping to hide or dispose of Becky's body. A 23-year-old man who had also been arrested was released without charge. On the 22nd of June, Shauna, who was originally charged with perverting the course of justice, was charged with murder. Nathan and Shauna were also charged with conspiracy to kidnap, preventing the lawful burial of a body, and possession of an illegal weapon. The couple were also charged with 4 unrelated counts of making indecent images of children. Nathan was also charged on unrelated counts of sexual assault and voyeurism. Voyeurism is like a peeping Tom who likes watching things that should be kept private of a sexual nature. Becky's funeral took place in St Ambrose Church in Whitehall, Bristol, on the 17th of April 2015. She was described by her family as, quote, an occasion to celebrate Becky's life. The service was followed by a private intimate for her family and friends at Avon View Cemetery. The murder trial began on the 6th of October 2015 at Bristol Crown Court. It was the prosecution's case that Becky was suffocated in her bedroom during a, quote, sexually motivated kidnap plot carried out by Nathan Matthews and Shauna. According to the prosecution, after the killing, Nathan and Shauna put Becky's body into the boot of their car and stayed at the house for several more hours, during which time other family members arrived home. Later that day, they drove back to their own house, where over the next few days they dismembered her body using a knife and a circular saw, and put the remains into bags and boxes, which were then hidden in a neighbour's shed. Nathan admitted killing Becky, but denied committing murder. He instead admitted manslaughter, telling the court that he had tried to kidnap his stepsister as a way of scaring her into changing what he perceived as her bad behaviour. But the plan went wrong and he accidentally killed her. Nathan insisted the killing took place while Shauna was in the garden and she was not involved. Shauna also denied murder, said she had no knowledge of the murder and had played no part in it, describing text messages she had exchanged with Nathan about kidnapping schoolgirls in the months before as, quote, unfortunate and sarcastic. The prosecution claimed that the text messages between the two, as well as other content found at their home, suggested, quote, a shared unnatural interest in attractive teenage females. The prosecution also relied on CCTV evidence of the movements of Nathan and Shauna on the day Becky was last seen alive and in the days which followed. On the 19th of February 2015, before going to Crown Hill, they were seen in a Tesco supermarket buying batteries which were allegedly needed for stun guns, which they intended to use in the kidnap. Footage from the day after Becky was killed showed Nathan buying a circular saw that was used to dismember her body, and between the 20th and the 22nd of February, he and Shauna were captured shopping for cleaning products, which it was said they required to clean the bathroom where the dismemberment took place. DNA linked both Nathan and Shauna to items that were found in the shed along with the remains. And an expert was called to give evidence, who said it would be easier, quote, to carry out the dismemberment if more than one person was involved. On the 11th of November 2015, after 3 hours and 27 minutes of deliberation, the jury found Nathan guilty of murder and Shauna guilty of manslaughter. Both were also convicted of conspiracy to kidnap, perverting the course of justice, preventing the lawful burial of a body, and possession of 2 stun guns. 2 men, James Ireland and Donovan Demetrius, were cleared of assisting an offender, which related to the moving and storing of the packages containing Becky's remains. Donovan's brother Carl and his girlfriend Jadine, who owned the shed where the remains were stored, had admitted the same charge at an earlier pre-trial hearing, though both insisted that they did not know the true contents of the packages. On the 5th of February 2016, Carl was sentenced to 2 years imprisonment and Jadine was sentenced to 16 months imprisonment. On the 13th of November 2015, Judge Dingmans sentenced Nathan to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 33 years and Shauna to 17 years in prison. In his sentencing remarks, the judge agreed with the prosecution's belief that the planned kidnap was for a sexual purpose, telling Nathan he had, quote, a fixation with having sex with petite teenage girls, and that he believed Shauna had been, quote, persuaded to participate in this fixation. He added, quote, finally, I should like to pay public tribute to the family of Becky for the dignified way in which they have conducted themselves throughout these proceedings. Hearing the evidence during the trial has been difficult for anyone, but it is plain that it has been an immense burden for the family. In February 2016, a wooden bench was unveiled in Becky's memory. Located in Goats Field, close to her home, the bench, carved by Andy O'Neill, was funded by the Neighbourhood Watch Partnership. A painted mural was also erected in memory of Becky in a park close to where she lived, as well as a lamp that was funded by her former college. In March 2016, Becky's father, Darren, released a memoir which described his daughter's life, her murder, and the subsequent criminal trial of those responsible, entitled Becky, The Heartbreaking Story of Becky Watts. The book was published by HarperCollins. It was later retitled to The Evil Within when released in paperback. Nathan and Shauna lodged appeals against their convictions and sentences, but on the 23rd of June 2016, the Court of Appeal rejected their applications, saying there was, quote, no reasonable argument that the convictions are unsafe or that the sentences were wrong in principle or manifestly excessive. I mean, how awful. And Becky, she was gorgeous and 16 years old, and died at the hands of her stepbrother and his girlfriend, because she was in on it. She wasn't in the garden while he was... Yeah, she was in on it, in my opinion. I do remember this case vaguely in the news, and it's just so very sad. It is so very sad. And I can't imagine how their parents feel. And like, the stepmom went out to go to the hospital appointment, came home, and her son had killed Becky in that time. I can't even imagine, because you have the stepmom and the dad. But again, I wanted to pay homage to Becky Watts. Such a tragic end to a very short life. Thank you for joining me. Yeah, and I shall be back with another episode very soon. My heart goes out to Becky and her family. I can't even imagine. But thank you so much for joining me and keeping me company. And I shall see you in another true crime episode very, very soon. Stay safe out there. Bye.
to travel